How many people go through life doing work they really don't like, but every day dreaming of, say, working in the aviation industry? They say it's too late. They think it would be too hard. They think it would go against conventional norms. If you never go after what you want, you'll never have it. This is Fly the Transition. Join us as we soar through the captivating stories of individuals embracing a thrilling journey into the aviation industry. From pilots spreading their wings to mechanics fine-tuning the engines and a myriad of industry professionals, each with a unique tale to tell. Get ready to dive into the diverse backgrounds, the pivotal moments that propelled their leap, and the sheer determination that transformed their aspirations into reality. We're not just about dreams. We're about making them take flight. Welcome to Fly the Transition. And now your host, Jim Schilling.
What is going on, all my aviation friends? Welcome to a short little bonus episode of the Fly the Transition podcast, where we are going to explore a little bit more of Herve's story from last episode. So if you remember from last time around, Herve is a aerial applicator pilot and is a Marine Corps veteran, and he told us a bit about his story of how he transitioned from the Marine Corps and doing some consulting work after that into his career in aviation, where he is at today. So because I like to keep these episodes at around an hour or so, I did cut some of the content for time, but figured that I should share the rest of it with you. So that's what this little bonus episode is all about. We're going to talk a little bit about his time actually flying in Alaska, as well as a little bit more on how he got into the current place he's at with his wife running their agricultural aviation business. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this bonus content from my interview with Herve.
Lady to whom I'm married now, she had taken over for her late husband. He had died in a spraying crash in 2016.
Oh, man. And
so going into 2018, one of their hired pilot, kind of wanted to get out of it. I think, it was pretty hard for everybody. Because he's like, I want to try something else. So I actually interviewed with her. It was a phone interview, and then nothing came of it. Picture it. I'm in South Mississippi. I'm, trying to figure out what I'm going to do for a job. My wife's left me. It's like a country song, you know what I mean? And I had a friend of mine on Facebook announce that he had become the assistant chief pilot for a Part 135 that flew caravans in Alaska.
Okay.
And, I was like, spraying killed my marriage. I'm just going to get out of spraying altogether because, this lady didn't hire me, my current wife, It's destroyed a marriage. I didn't get this job. I'm going to leave spraying. We're going to go to Alaska. In the altered state I was in, I sent him a text message after I saw his Facebook announcement. Said, you know what? You need a real pilot. You should hire me. And within a week, I'm having a FaceTime interview with the owner of this 135 in Southeast Alaska. Shortly after that, he bought me a plane ticket up there. And now I'm a Part 135 guy. And but when we got to that time, I'd already committed to go back to Iowa in the summer of 2018 for Boyd, and I've never felt good about being the kind of guy who would make a commitment and then welch on it. So, I took that job, and during the interview, I told the owner, I was like, "Look, man," I was like, "I want to do this. I really want to." I was like, "But I made this promise to this guy who's been super good to me, and if you just let me do it, after this, I'm done spraying. You'll have me year-round forever and ever. Amen." And so he said that was cool. He'd give me some time off in the summer. It was a 15 and 15 schedule. So I really only needed one shift off because that would give me 6 weeks total in the summer to go back and spray.
Oh, okay.
So I took 2 weeks off from that job. I flew that round engine Ag-Cat back in Iowa again, happier than a clam because as much as I complain about the round engines, that Ag-Cat, that radial Ag-Cat is just such a dream to fly. And then then I go back to Alaska and did that. Well, while all this is going on, the widowed lady that I told you about, who I'd interviewed with, and well, one thing led to another. We started talking more. We started dating. I was starting to spend my off shifts in Nebraska, where she's from, in southeast Nebraska. And I've always kind of loved the Midwest, like Iowa, Nebraska, the Dakotas. I'm not from there, but these are kind of my people.
Sure.
And I was like, this is cool. And so we start dating, and then as we roll into the 2018 season, where I'm still spraying for the guy in Iowa, and, she's got her hired pilot flying for her, right as the season gets to heat up and starts getting busy, that pilot has something come up, and then he can't fly the rest of the season. And now we're kind of in a pickle, right? I'm already flying somewhere else. They have a season that's going on right now. So we find a pilot to fill that airplane, to fill that seat for the remainder of the 2018 season in Nebraska. And now I got to go and tell my boss in Alaska that, yeah, I know I promised I was done.
Yeah.
Look, man, I'm dating this girl. We're about to get married. Her pilot, can't fly for her anymore. I think I've got to punch. I think I got to punch out, pop smoke, and I think I got to go back to spraying. It's kind of like that scene, in Godfather. You keep trying to come out, they keep pulling me back in.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I finished out 2018 in Alaska, and then transitioned into being a full-time ag pilot and co-owner of an agricultural aviation business. Yeah, and let me tell you, being a pilot is so much easier. But I got to tell you, that's the thing. There's a lot of anywhere in aviation. It's not just an agriculture thing, but in aviation, there's a lot of not really just undisguised kind of chauvinism. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we'll go to conventions, my wife and I, and she is the business owner. She runs the show. And, I tell people, if you want an answer to a question, please go see her, because she's going to give, she has better visibility on what you're asking than I do. Because even though my wife and I are equals, my focus is in a different spot.
Sure.
She has a great mind for this big picture kind of thinking. And she's been doing it so long. And that's the other thing, when she took over from her late husband, she learned a lot of this stuff by drinking through a fire hose.
Okay.
And, and now she's got her system set up. I'm not going to come in here and change it. It's not my place to do so. But you will go to these conventions for our state and regional associations. Sometimes you talk to people and, oh, hey, you're the operator. Well, no, I'm actually a pilot, but, my wife's my boss. And then, of course, you get the old fellows oh, yeah, I know. My little lady's my boss, too. And I'm like, no, really?
No, you don't get it.
She's actually the boss. She runs a great ship, and there's no complaints. So it's one of those things I think there's still a novelty. So I'm not trying to get on a soapbox at all, but it's one of those things I kind of chuckle at when I see a lady get out of an airplane in the left seat. Because you always see the people at the airport. There's those stages, of what's going on, and you're watching the hamster kind of start getting on the wheel.
Yeah.
You're wait a minute. Was that lady the pilot? I was believe it or not, they can fly airplanes too, man.
Uh-huh.
And
the airplane does not care.
I've flown with a lot of women who are a hell of a lot better pilot than I am.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
But it's really fun, because here we are in 2023, right? And you still kind of see this. But no, that's one of the things I love telling people is that my wife is amazing at what she does, and I don't have any. I'm not the guy who's going to come in here and change, reinvent the wheel.
Sure.
Because the wheel she's got is pretty darn smooth, and but it's great. So now we have our location in Nebraska. We have our location down here in Oklahoma, where I am now. And the seasons dovetail very nicely. Because we do a lot of our pasture herbicide in the spring, and then it gets too hot to put herbicide out, and then it's time to start spraying the corn and soybeans in Nebraska.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to ask you how that works.
Well, yeah. So in about, April, you'll start gearing up down here in Oklahoma, because you're trying to kill weeds in the grass so that you get more grass for the cattle to eat. And we'll spray that herbicide until like I said, around July 4th, we're pretty well done here in Northeast Oklahoma. It just gets too hot. Every chemical has a label.
Okay.
And the language on that label, as far as your directions for use, that label language is the law. So if that language says, do not apply in winds above 10 miles an hour, and you go out there and you spray this stuff and it's blowing 15 miles an hour, well, you're off label, and now you're in violation of the law.
Okay.
So a lot of our herbicides will say do not spray above a certain temperature. Well, in Northeast Oklahoma, a certain temperature comes darned early in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, you have inversions to deal with. Putting out herbicides in an inversion, man, that's a big no-no, because with an inversion, as you well know, that air lifts, rises until it hits an inversion layer, and then it starts to cut. Well, you're from Minnesota, I believe, right?
I am.
Yeah, lots of farmland around there.
Oh yeah.
You start getting to those points in the on the temperature and dew point scale. It's just a better idea to park the airplane and wait for better conditions. Sure. And like I said, then you get up and it's time to go spray insecticide and fungicide in the upper Midwest, and inversions really don't affect that as much as far as our applications, because if a little fungicide isn't typically going to kill the neighbor's crops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're still, and that's the other thing. I always like to treat every job as it is a herbicide job. I want to treat it with the same level of respect, because that grower is paying for the product. He's not paying to spray his neighbor.
Oh, for sure.
And this chemical ain't cheap,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's kind of how it works. And then once the leaves start falling off the soybeans and the corn's all dried up, now it's time to come back to Oklahoma and do a little fall pasture spraying.
Okay.
And, I like to put the airplanes up in Oklahoma because I'd rather work on them in a little bit warmer environment.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how our seasons work now.
Well, hope you enjoyed that quick little bit of bonus content from Herve and his interview with me last week. If you want to hear more and you haven't heard the last episode, jump back on over there and check out the full episode from Herve to hear more about his journey into aviation from the Marine Corps, as well as his role in agricultural aviation today. And don't forget, this Sunday morning coming up will be another brand new episode. This time we'll be talking with Dr. Keith Roxo from Wingman Med. We're going to be talking all about that all-important medical examination, how you can prepare for that, and maybe dispel some myths that are out there as well. So until Sunday, we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to Fly the Transition. Life is too short for you not to do what you love. And our passion is to give you all the tools you need to make the transition from doing what you do to being in the aviation industry. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, you can reach out by email at flythetransition@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at Fly the Transition. And the website for Flying Midwest Media is flyingmidwest.com. Keep soaring. See you next time on Fly the Transition.